to Zoo School Live. My name is Elisa. Before we go and meet our friends for the day, I'm going to share some artwork. This is from Isabel, age 7, and she drew this of Lois, the coatimundi, or the coati, one of our guests that we met last week. I especially like the tail. She's got those stripes, and she drew all of the hearts and the balloons just for Lois, since it was her birthday last week. Thank you so much, Isabel, for sharing. And please, guys, continue to send in your artwork. We would love to share it with everyone who's watching, and it makes our days really special. We like to see them as well. So today we're going to meet two very, very special friends, and we're going to be focusing on how they have helped people in the past, all right? So without further ado, I'm going to take out our two education domesticated ferrets, and their names are Robin Hood and Little John. All right, so these guys are going to go and play with all of their fun toys while we're learning about them. The first thing that we're going to talk about, again, is kind of how ferrets have helped people in the past. So these guys used to be used in Europe to help control overpopulation of rodents. So they were used to catch all those different kinds of mice and rats who were kind of taking over lots of different places in Europe. These guys also, however, are electricians, believe it or not. They've helped with cabling in various places with areas like behind walls and tight places that humans have a struggle getting into. So ferrets were dressed up in harnesses and cables were attached to those harnesses, and they were encouraged to go to various places to navigate through tight spaces by getting a treat at the end. Some notable examples of specific ferrets that have helped out. For example, when the U.S. Space Command was working on its New Year 2000 missile warning center at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado, Misty the ferret was put to work. She carried wires down 40-foot-long conduits to get everything up and running. Another example, in 1999, a trio of Spice Girl-themed ferrets named Beckham, Posh, and Baby laid TV, lighting, and sound cables for Britain's Millennium Concert. Pretty cool. So, these guys, like I said, are domesticated ferrets, and that means that they are actually not related to our black-footed ferrets. So black-footed ferrets are ferrets that are native to the western parts of the United States. They look very similar to these guys, but they're actually, these guys are more closely related to the European polecat. So European polecat or weasel that we're deciding to, that are found over in Europe. So these guys have been domesticated for quite some time. So what that means is that they have grown up with humans for quite a while. So they're used to human interaction and they're not found in the wild. So Little John and Robin Hood are only a couple years old. They actually came to us from the Weasel Warriors Ferret Sanctuary in Cape May. So we got these guys about a year and a half ago. And Little John is the lighter colored one, and the bigger one, the one who's looking at the camera right now. And Robin Hood is the smaller one, the one that looks more like a bandit with that mask around his eyes. Little John is about 3 pounds, and Robin Hood is about 2 pounds. So these guys are playing with lots of different toys. These guys are rascals. The Latin name of ferret actually means smelly little thief. So these guys are really, really good at stealing things and then hiding them. So they'll like take your keys and then make a hole maybe in your couch or your sofa, and then hide those keys in there because they think it's fun or fun. So these guys really like stuffed animals as some toys that are their favorites. They also really like balls to jump around in and shredded paper. And they like big paper too. There's another toy that they really like that actually is kind of like a cat toy. That's a feather. And a bell. That Robin Hood seems to have no interest in whatsoever, and that's totally fine. Robin Hood is actually our stuffed animal thief. He likes to take small stuffed animals and from the top of his enclosure, and then he brings them down all the way to the bottom of the enclosure into one pile. So ferrets actually do well in small groups. So we've learned a lot of our animals that you guys have met are solitary, which means they really like their alone time. These guys actually do really, really well in small groups. So these guys do well staying together, and they keep each other company. These guys can sleep up to 18 hours a day. So the life of a ferret kind of looks something like this. They'll sleep, then they'll wake up and eat some food, and then they'll poop, and then they'll eat, and then they'll take a nap, and then they'll play again, and then they'll eat, and then they'll poop, and then they'll take a nap. And that's what they do all day long. So they have a pretty nice life, right, of naps and snacks. These guys are carnivores, so that means that they get a meat-based grain, just like a cat would get cat food or a dog would get dog food. These guys get ferret food. They also really, really like some chicken-flavored treats or bacon-flavored treats. So let's see if they're interested in having some bacon-flavored treats here. Little John, you get your own. If you would just look over here. These guys breed usually from March to August, and they can actually have 3 litters in a year with 15 kits total. They actually need quite a lot of parental care. So what that means is that they are born pretty much helpless. So they need help from their parents for up to about 8 weeks. In order to be able to live on their own and fend for themselves. So like I said, these guys are pretty sneaky little guys. They're very good at escaping and hiding and throwing things and making you lose your items, such as your car keys, for example. Like Robin Hood wants to get under this table. Here we go. So these guys can be pets, just like all of the animals that we've mentioned who are potential possible pets. You have to do your research beforehand, right? So these guys are pretty darn friendly. They love to play, which is super fun to watch. But remember, they're carnivores, which means that they have some pretty smelly poops. Those poops are really, really smelly and really, really messy, right? They also, again, like I mentioned before, are really good at stealing things and hiding those things that they've stolen. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to stick them in another pen and see if they like this one a little bit better. And while we watch these guys, we're going to start asking some questions, okay? All right, it looks like Sophia would like to know what they eat. Great question, Sophia. So these guys get a ferret food, just like cats get cat food or dogs get dog food. They also get treats, just like your cats or your dogs would. So we have an example of some of the treats that they get. So either chicken flavored or bacon flavored treats these guys really, really like. Oliver, Graham, and Holden are wondering if these guys are found in the wild. They're not, guys. Great question. So these guys are a domesticated breed. So just like there's certain animals, certain rabbits, for example, that are only bred in captivity. These guys are also only bred in captivity. So these guys aren't actually found in the wild. They are distantly related to things like the European polecat, however. Danielle would like to know, do they climb? Danielle? Yes. Yes, they climb. As you can see, they're just having a grand old time trying to climb out of, you know, everything. And they do this often when we try and clean them as well. Again, they're just really, really curious. They want to know what's happening. They want to be with you guys. They want to be around and exploring. So as you can tell, confined spaces are not their fave, but we want to make sure that you guys can see them, so we're trying our best. Liam and Ronan would like to know, do they hibernate? So these guys, as being pets, don't hibernate. So they sleep a lot, all the time. They don't really get calmer or dormant or sleep for extended periods during the winter, again, because they are a domesticated species. Liam and Ronan also want to know if they chase mice and if they are related to the mongoose. So they chase mice, definitely. These guys could have gotten mice or baby mice for enrichment to eat, but it's not their favorite. Again, they really, really like those chicken flavored treats or those bacon flavored treats. But in the wild, remember, like I said, those European polecats were used to hunt rats and mice and rodents. So the other question is, are they related to mongoose? Yes, they are. So these guys are in the weasel family. So they're related to weasels and other members that are closely related to weasels as well. Birthdays and how old they are. So I don't know their specific birthdays, but we can actually find out shortly. How old they are, they're only, I think about 2.5 to 3 years. So these guys are still pretty young. They can live a good 14 years if they're nice and healthy. An average is 7 to 10 years. So Little John and Robin Hood's birthdays, Little John's birthday is July 23rd, 2017, and Robin Hood's birthday is October 15th, 2017. So these guys are going to turn 3 in July and October. Great question. Charity would like to know, why are their colors different? Charity, what a fabulous question. Very similar to why, you can have a sister or brother with blonde hair or brown hair or black hair or red hair, and you don't have that same colored hair. So these guys just have different colored fur patterns. Luke and Gray would like to know, how fast can they run? Well, you can see they're jumping pretty quickly, right? So these guys can run pretty darn run fast. I don't have a mile per hour for you, but they're pretty speedy. Anne would like to know what their favorite toys are. So toys kind of like this, Anne, are some of their favorites, especially Robin Hood. He likes to grab these and pile all of his stuffed animals together. And he likes to have them all in one little box. Savannah would like to know what their favorite snack is. So those snacks that I showed you before, those bacon flavored or chicken flavored snacks, those are some of their favorites. Michael would like to know how old they are. So Michael, they are going to be turning 3 in July. So little John will be turning 3 in July, and Robin Hood will be turning 3 in October. And Max would like to know how long they live. So if they're nice and healthy, they can live a good 14 years. The average lifespan of a domesticated ferret, however, is between 7 and 10 years. Zaya and Esther would like to know, how long are their tails? That's a good question. Let's find out. That looks like a nice 5 to 6 inches, don't you say? Right, little John? He says yes. Joey, how often do they eat? Wonderful question, Joey. So they get, I think it's about 60 grams of ferret food a day, and that's given to them all day. So they have access to that food for the entire time that we are here, and then through the night. So they have access to food all the time, and we actually split it in half because what they really enjoy is eating soggy, wet, warm, watery food. So we split half of the food into another bowl, and then we soak it in nice warm water because they find that delicious. Nicole would like to know if they can swim. So yes, they can swim. It's not their favorite thing to do, and they're not amazing at it. So Marvin, the duck, is a far better swimmer than either Robin Hood or Little John. But they can swim, and sometimes we do have to give these guys baths. But guess what? Weasels, remember when we learned about skunks? So skunks aren't weasels, but they are closely related. They all have this musty smell. So they have these just oil glands that give off this really musty smell, and it doesn't really matter if we give them a bath because they stink right when they dry. Right after they're nice and clean, they smell really bad because of that musty smell. Brianna would like to know, are they brothers? So these guys, aren't exactly brothers, but they've lived together their whole lives. It is possible that they were in a separate litter that was from the same parents, but they pretty much act just like brothers. They play together, they take naps together, they share their meals, they do everything together. Rachel would like to know how they got to Elmwood. Great question, Rachel. So these guys we actually got from a place called the Weasel Warriors Ferret Sanctuary, which is located in Cape May. Jackson would like to know if they bite. So Jackson, a rule that we have here at Elmwood is that anything with a mouth can bite. That means they have the capability of biting. However, none of our educators have ever been bitten by these guys. So they don't really have any reason to bite. They've been closely interacting with people for their whole lives, so they don't really have any reason to bite because we're not big and scary to them. We give them food, we play with them, so they actually are one of the animals that do sometimes seek out attention, kind of like Oliver and Chester, our Velveteen lap rabbits. Other animals, they tolerate our existence, but these guys are one of the fewer education ambassador animals that really do like to seek out attention and play. Kyle would like to know if they play with other animals. Good question, Kyle. So these guys really just play with each other. If we put one of these guys in front of our, maybe a big snake, probably wouldn't be a great idea, right? Because big snakes would eat something that are about this size. And we don't know how they would react to other animals. So they just play with each other. And again, these guys are quite different from our wild black-footed ferrets that we actually do have on exhibit here at Elmwood Park Zoo. Those guys are found in the western parts of the United States, and they're pretty darn aggressive because they're eating things that are twice their size. They're eating things that are called prairie dogs out in the prairie. Jackson would like to know if they like people. Yeah, Jackson, so they do. Actually, we're looking at Robin Hood. He's finally grabbing that stuffed animal. Maybe he'll bring it into a corner. These guys, they are super, super active, but if you have these guys as a pet and you handle them well and frequently, they will become very comfortable around you, and they'll take naps with you, and they really do like scratchies. So when these guys are not as rambunctious and calm, they really like scratches behind their ears or on their belly. So just like you would think a dog would like scratchies, these guys like scratchies too. Teresa would like to know, do they scratch? So they can. The only time that we've really been scratched by these guys is if we're trimming their nails. It's not their favorite thing, but they do a really good job. So if they do scratch us, it really is accidental because it's not their favorite thing. Haley would like to know, do they live together? Yes, they have a really cool enclosure that is a 3-tiered enclosure. So it has multiple levels because these guys love to climb and run around. So these guys have different levels. If they want to get away from each other, they are absolutely able to do so. But if they also want to share a space, they can do that as well. And they do very well living together. Phoebe wants to say that these little guys are super cute. Phoebe, I would definitely agree with you, and I think everybody here would agree with that statement as well. We also think that they are pretty darn cute. Victoria would like to know, have they ever snuck out of their enclosure? Great question, Victoria. So their enclosure, no. However, I'm sure that you could see, when we were running around, when they were in that fencing, that when we take them out to clean, they are pretty mischievous little guys, and they're also really flexible. So they have spines, just like people do, but they have really, really flexible bodies that helps them to get into really, really tiny spaces, right? Like I said before, how they were used to bring cable wires or electrical wires through walls. These guys have super, super flexible bodies, and that helps them to get into smaller places. So their enclosure, no, they haven't snuck out of, but well, we've cleaned them sometimes. So we've actually gotten a new little bin that they have. It's like a mini enclosure that they are put in, so that it's less likely that they escape from that one. Tyler in New Jersey would like to know what their favorite food is and how big do they get. So these guys are full grown. Their favorite food really are those treats, but they really, really like the food that they get on a daily basis. So just like your cat would get the same type of cat food, or your dog would get the same type of dog food, it's a meat-based grain. These guys really, really enjoy their ferret food. They also get water, just like we do, in order to drink and stay nice and healthy. How big they get, again, they are full grown. Little John is quite larger than Robin Hood. Little John is about 3 pounds, and Robin Hood weighs about 2 pounds. So again, this one right here is Little John, and this little guy who tired himself out is Robin Hood. Sierra would like to know if they have decent eyesight. Yes, they do, Sierra. Good question. So these guys, even though they're tiny, doesn't mean that they're, just a prey species. Yes, other animals, if these guys were found in the wild, so let's take their European polecat counterparts, birds of prey would love to eat these guys. But they are hunters themselves, right? They're carnivores. So in the wild in the United States, the black-footed ferrets that we have, they eat things. They hunt animals that can be twice their size. So their favorite thing to eat in the wild, the black-footed ferret, are things called prairie dogs. And they are twice the size that they are. So they have to have that pretty decent eyesight in order to hunt. Audrey would like to know if they are boys or girls. They are both boys. They are both boy ferrets. All right, guys, I think we have time for 2 more questions. Ada and Augie would like to know if they are smart. Out of the animals that we have here, yes, these guys are pretty darn smart. They are curious, they are mischievous, they are fun and active and troublemakers, and all of those add into being pretty darn smart. You know, if they want to escape their playpen, they'll find a way to do it. If they want to hide some of their stuffed animals so that you won't find them, they'll be able to do that as well. So yes, these guys are pretty darn smart. Wesley, or Westy, I'm sorry, would like to know, can they flatten themselves to go under doors and how? Yes, I've seen it happen. They, kind of, you see those videos of cats or dogs who snuck through really tiny spaces. These guys are even better at it than those guys. They have lots of flexible cartilage that helps them to squeeze into really tight places. And then our last question, it looks like a lot of people want to know if they can swim. So they can, they are capable. Do they like it? It's not their favorite activity. Are there animals better at swimming than them? Absolutely. But they can swim if need be. All right, guys, so, you know, we're going to just end on a note. Adopt, don't shop. If you want a ferret or a cat or a dog, there are so many that are up for adoption. If you want to check out first to try and adopt a ferret or a chinchilla or a cat or a dog or even reptiles too, definitely research it first before you go to a pet store and look for a pet, because there's guys out there who have been trying to find loving homes for quite a long time. Again, if you guys are interested in helping out the zoo, we'd be ever so grateful. You can do so by donating to our emergency fund. You can also purchase stars on Facebook, and a percentage of that actually goes to help the zoo. So anything that you guys can do to help, again, just by watching. We appreciate you guys viewing our Zoo School Live episodes, and we love the artwork that you guys send in. So please feel free to continue sending all of that to us, all right? So that's it for today. Again, my name is Elisa. Thank you for meeting Little John and Robin Hood, our domesticated ferrets. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to you guys tuning in tomorrow.